Okay, we're now starting our unit on energy and waves. Today we are going to talk about how energy transforms into other types of energy. So our two learning targets today are learning targets 17 and 18. 17, there are different forms of energy, and those forms of energy can be changed from one to another. 18, evaluate and infer where potential and kinetic energy are the highest and lowest in a real-world example. Okay, remember, energy is the ability to do work or cause a change in matter. All types of energy start out as potential or kinetic energy. Potential energy is stored energy due to position. If you increase height or the mass increases, potential energy increases. Okay, so these are examples of potential energy. Okay, the bow and arrow, when he pulls it back, that has stored energy that can be converted into kinetic. Okay, if we look at this swing set example, notice the higher he goes, that increases your potential energy because his height increases. The more massive the ball on this demolition machine, the more potential energy it has. Okay, kinetic energy is energy in motion. So mass and speed increases, kinetic energy increases. So that makes sense. The faster you go, the more kinetic energy you have. If we take a look at this example of Grandma losing control of her buggy, up top right here, Grandma has the highest potential energy when she's at the top. Okay, that's when she has the highest potential energy. She has the fastest speed when she reaches the bottom of the hill, so that's where her kinetic energy is the highest. Okay, so potential and kinetic energy can be classified into types of energy. So sound, radiant or light, chemical, heat, electricity, nuclear, mechanical, those are all types of energy. Okay, the two that are most common potential energy are chemical and nuclear. So remember, all matter has chemical energy in their atoms, so all atoms have potential energy. Nuclear is the amount of energy that an atom contains as well. So these two are potential energy. The rest are examples of kinetic energy because this type of energy moves. So sound, light, heat, electricity, mechanical, which means movement, those are all types of energy that are kinetic because they move. Okay, and this just gives you some examples of the different forms of energy. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is conservation of energy. It's very similar to conservation of matter. In the same respects, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed. So the total amount of energy stays the same, we just change it from one form to the next, just like we do with matter. So some of the energy transformations will not 100% transfer from potential to kinetic or vice versa. So energy sometimes gets transferred in elsewhere. For example, if a person is bicycling, mechanical energy is converted into kinetic energy. However, some of that mechanical energy is also transferred to the atmosphere as heat due to the force of friction between the wheels and the ground. Another example of energy transformations and conservation of energy is this roller coaster. So at the top right here, we have high potential energy, low kinetic. So when he starts going down the hill, that potential energy is going to get converted into kinetic. However, not all of that potential energy gets transferred to kinetic. Some of that potential energy gets transferred into the atmosphere and it gets transferred as heat. So some of that potential energy gets transferred to heat due to friction between the wheels and the track. Okay, and then the rest of it will be transferred into kinetic energy. Notice when the roller coaster gets to the bottom of the hill, it has the most kinetic energy because that's where he's going the fastest. Okay, so that concludes our notes for today. Hopefully, after watching the video, you have an idea of how energy can be changed from one form to the next, and you will get a lot of practice with that. And you also get a lot of practice where an example, potential energy is the highest and lowest, and kinetic energy highest and lowest.